I'm Carolyn. I'm the Digital Engagement Manager with Access Now. We are a global organization defending and extending the human rights of users at risk around the world, and this is Rogelio.
Hi, I'm the Costa Rica Chief Lead for the Digital Security Helpline, and the helpline is a resource for civil society around the world. We offer technical assistance and digital security advice for organizations, human rights defenders, journalists, activists, and more.
So we want to talk to you about two main things today. The first thing is making sure that as you're developing new tools in your advocacy toolkit, that you're keeping data privacy in mind and respecting the privacy rights of the people that are engaging with you. And then we're going to talk about digital security for your own organization and making sure that as you integrate new tools and spread out across new platforms, that you're going to be keeping your organization safe and making sure that all of your important information is secure. So as you're exploring new tools and you're collecting this information and you're analyzing that data about how people are engaging with your content, you're going to want to be aware of how you're using people's information and making sure that you're giving them some agency in how they want their information to be used. So the first thing you should do is, as you consider third-party platforms and other tools that can really up your game for advocacy, just make sure that you take a look at their privacy policy and understand what they're going to be doing with the information that passes through their system, so that you can make a decision about whether that is privacy respecting and that's a platform that you want to direct your audience to engage with. And the next thing that you want to do is make sure that you internally have a really strong data usage policy that your audience can take a look at, so they can really understand what you're going to be doing with their information and what they can expect by engaging with your platform. So you're going to want to ask for some basic questions like, what information am I collecting and why am I collecting it? What do I intend to do with it? And making sure that you're sort of minimizing your impact on people's privacy to the extent that you can, and only collecting what you need to be able to be effective in the work that you're trying to do. One thing to keep in mind if you're engaging with people that are based in the European Union is the General Data Protection Regulation, which is going into force in May of this year. They have some higher standards and some stricter regulations about what kind of data you can collect and what systems you need to have in place to make sure that you're handling that data responsibly. And even if you don't engage with people in the European Union, it's a good place to start to really understand what best practices in the industry should look like. So I'm going to pass it over to Rogelio to talk a little bit more about digital security.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, so when we talk about digital security, it's very important to understand that there is no such thing as a 100% secure system. Everything is vulnerable and everything can be compromised. It's always about managing the risk. So first you have to understand what the risk is for your organization and for your data. And then you can apply different methodologies or techniques to protect this information. The tools that you use are important, and you need to pick the right tools, but you have to understand that the most important thing is your behavior and the behavior of the people that handle this data. So for example, you need to protect access to this data. You need to make sure that the accounts that have access to the data have secure passwords, that use technologies like multi-factor authentication, and that you have a set process, a defined process of what happens when someone enters the organization or leaves the organization, because you may need to grant access or revoke access to this sensitive information. You need to also think about where this data is stored geographically. For example, if it's stored in Canada, it's different rules than if it's stored in Europe or in South America or in Asia. So you need to understand not only the legal consequences of storing your data in a specific country, but also the technology that is available for you. Some countries have, for example, made encryption illegal, so that's something that you might want to consider, because you need to protect the data when it's stored in these computers. To protect this, you need to make sure that you use encryption in case someone tries to access the data from the outside. And so you protect it also from the people that manages this infrastructure. And also you need to consider, how do you protect this data while it's in transit? How are you collecting this data? Are you going out to people and asking and writing down in Notepad? Or are you collecting this data over an online form? If it's online, then is this data being collected over an HTTPS connection, meaning that this information is encrypted, or is just being sent along the way? These are many questions, and this is something that it can get complicated, and it's something that is very different depending on on the specific situation of each organization. Context means everything. So if you have any questions or if you need any guidance, you can contact us at the helpline. Our address is help@accessnow.org, and we can definitely help you. Something that we do that is very important for organizations is help them create what is called a digital security policy, or just a security policy, which is a formal document that has all these guidelines and all these recommendations written down formally so people can agree, and when someone enters the organization, they are aware of all these considerations.
All right, great. Thanks, Rogelio, and thank you all for joining in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you.